there, welcome to Cbus Creatives Live, episode 5 of 2018, and Cbus Creatives Live is about talking to artists about their artwork, and I started the show so I could try to be more comfortable talking about my artwork, and then I opened it up to other artists. So you can watch this live on Facebook, Nicolette Swift video.
It's live, you can't stop me.
Oh. YouTube, which is Nicolette Cinematographics on YouTube, and then Twitter at Cinematographics, and Periscope, which is also at Cinematographics. So tonight I am with Matthew Swift, my husband.
Matthew. Oh,
because
wow.
He is running out of...
Being angsty.
He's being angsty tonight. So, he gets Matthew. No, Matt Swift. And we've known each other maybe some long time. So, how did we meet?
Yeah, so if anybody's tuning in there tonight, thanks for tuning in to watch us, watch me talk about some stuff. How did we meet? Some of you who's tuned in maybe heard this story or not. Nikki and I, we've been partners in crime for quite a long time. Well, let's see, I'm about to turn 40. So almost, it's like half of our life, half of my life so far. And we met because we were both running late to class back in 1998.
First day of class.
First day of class, and we both scrambled to get into an elevator. And I think, did I hold the door?
Well, I got off on the wrong floor. Yes, you helped me.
Yeah, but we both got in, and I kind of held the door for you to get in, and then you got off on the wrong floor, and then came back in, and then we were both running late to class, and we ended up going to the same class. We went in, and you sat in the back of the room, and I went up and sat a little closer to the front of the room. And then I realized that day that the guy that you sat next to was in a class with me afterwards. And so then I was like, oh, the next day I sat with him, which meant I sat with you. And then we became the three troublemakers in the back of the room.
We weren't troublemakers. We
were good
quickly. Kids. Very good kids.
Very quickly. So, yeah, so we met, and it was in a Computer Science 101 when we were at OSU, and we looked a lot different than we do now. I mean,
I look the same.
You look kind of the same.
Just the ponytail.
But you had ponytail. You had long hair. I had long hair, though. That's the thing.
We both had ponytails
so we both
back
had
then.
Ponytails. And whereas my common wardrobe now is a polo, back then it was like a ratty concert T-shirt and headphones and inline skates, and like I had a whole thing going on at that point. So, all right.
That's how we met.
Yeah, and so yeah, all right.
So,
do you want to give a quick shout about how it is that we're the magic that we're sitting in front of a camera?
So, cinema started back in...
Oh, jeez. Somebody took a bunch of pictures and, like, flipped them really fast and like, oh, whoa, images could move?
So, I asked GCAC for a grant about a year ago to get this magical box that I hooked to my standard camera that I use, which I also bought because of GCAC. I bought the camera when I won the Media Arts Fellowship in 2014. And the box was a request so that I could use my good camera to stream live so that I could work on talking about things. And so, huge shout out to GCAC for supporting me throughout the years, including a Media Arts Fellowship. same year, by freak chance, Matt happened to win too. We completely different, completely individual submissions, and
yeah, if you looked at our work, like our individual works, you're like, they have nothing to do with each other whatsoever.
no,
We're just
and
weird. We do things together, but like I got this weird, like I don't even. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that tonight. The stuff I do, whereas Nikki's work is like straight on like poetic documentary. It's documentary work basically, reenactments and performance and documentary that then she puts together into stuff. Whereas most of my stuff now is landscape video.
Yep.
And that was the bulk of that reel that I had submitted. Which actually, one of the pieces in the reel that I submitted for that 2014 GCAC had a piece in it that we shot called Life Cycle.
yes,
Life Cycle, right? And it was a tree that was made up completely of plastic grocery bags by an artist who's now in Nashville, Jennifer Deffenbaugh. And at that time, we had projected some video up inside of it, and then I made a short doc of her installation. And we had a visitor most of the night with that, and a friend of ours is here. He's actually running the camera for us tonight. So that's just a happy interlude that you brought up the GCAC fellowship. Usually I'm behind the camera and chatting with everybody on Facebook, but tonight we have a volunteer. We have a magician behind the curtain running things for us. So if you have other questions as we get going and stuff, feel free to post them there.
Wizard.
Ask the wizard, and the wizard will pass them on to us. So cool. All right. So I'll give it back to you now because everybody knows I'm a jabbermouth. So.
All right. So you have a show coming up, and that show is not necessarily all your work, but it is a collaborative show, and you are going to have pieces in that show. I'm kicking you.
I know. She just kicked me. She's just like, I'm talking to you about your show. Let me kick you a few times while I do it. Okay, go ahead.
So let's talk about your show.
All right.
Through laughter.
Through
Laugh.
laughter.
Like,
Yeah, so as I said a few minutes ago, I'm turning 40 here in April. My birthday is actually April 30th.
No,
and
he's not turning 40.
yeah, Nikki doesn't want me to
Lies.
turn 40 because that means she's not 18 anymore.
Right.
So, another friend of mine, Daniel Colvin, a local paper artist, his birthday is a few days before mine, and we're the same age, and a few years ago we decided, let's just pool resources. Why? We have a lot of the same friends. Let's just have one big party and hang out and do some stuff. And we managed at one point to, a few years ago, we made a really cool installation, Rejuvenation 38, for our 38th birthday, where Daniel had made 4 kind of long Japanese paper sheets that then has these pods that hang off the front of them. And then I had made some video work that then projected onto this sheet that hung in the middle of a gallery, which was very well received. That was a good time. Everybody that came out, thanks for coming to that. Last year, I was in a little bit of a hiatus for some personal reasons, and so we weren't able to do anything. But this year, we're like, hey, let's try to put something together again. And we both decided neither of us had a ton of time for a big party or do a big giant installation like that Rejuvenation piece, but we'd still like to do something art-wise. So Daniel said, hey, he has this thing he does. It's a pop-up that he does at Elevator Brewery Company during every gallery hop. He basically gets an artist to come in, and he puts temporary walls up, and he hangs an artist's stuff back in the brewery area on 4th at their actual brewery. And was like, well, do you have anybody for April? Because then we could do a show there. We could just do a pop-up, one-night thing. So that's what we're going to do. It's called 40 Year Mixed Bag. I think we'll be getting there. If there's not a link on the feed already, there will be soon. So it sounds like the wizard already got it up. He's giving us a thumbs up. So the link's there below. If you're logging in and you see the show, you want to go check this out. I will be showing some new work there, which is, I think, what we're going to talk about tonight here. But then I decided it would be really cool. It's just let's invite a bunch of our friends that make art to basically come and hang a piece. So, we were going to have already, like, Tom Hubbard is going to bring a piece, J.G. Thompson, Simon Labazetta, Roger Williams, Deidre Eccles, and there are a handful of other artists who are going to be bringing a piece and just hanging it up there. And we'll just spend the night. We've got some drinks from Elevator Brewery, of course. And we're just asking everybody to BYOFP. So bring your own favorite pizza, whether for yourself or to share. It doesn't matter. If you want to bring a pizza and hoard it for yourself, that is all cool with us. We just want to make sure people have some dough to absorb any kind of libations they may decide to participate in. So we'll provide that if other people can just provide some sustenance for themselves. And we figured picking up a pizza or something locally would be pretty easy for most people. So that's April 7th from 5 to 10 at Elevator Brewery. It should be a lot of fun. I'm very excited about this. It's forced me to be able to produce some stuff that I've been wanting to do for a long time. So.
All right, so we talked about your show coming up, but
do we have any questions at this point? Anybody saying anything?
Sean said I did good at domesticating you.
Sean?
Perry?
Oh, yeah? Yeah, we were going to have a special guest, pop in, but, he had to bail. It's not his fault.
No, he said he's sorry.
He has
really
life
sorry.
circumstances. He was going to be here, and then he couldn't be. We were going to have, a special pop-in comedy set or something. We'll see.
You ruined it for the next time.
I know. Well, magical Irish madman may show up at some point in another episode. Let's just say that. Do we have something else?
Yeah, Sean also asked, can I bring a piece?
Oh, like a piece of art? Yeah. Sean. If you wanted to bring a piece of art you made, go ahead. Yeah.
It has to be under...
Total has to be under 36 inches to bring a piece. And if there's anybody else that sees this show and they would want to bring a piece to this show, just private message me about it and send me a picture of it. We kind of have a private Facebook group for specifically curating the show, so we know that we don't get too much work. We have enough room to hang it all. And then also, so we know that day when we show up at 4 o'clock before everybody gets there at 5, what we're looking at, so we can kind of put stuff next to each other so it works well. So, yeah, that's cool. Awesome. Sweet.
You also submitted to something else recently, and you have been working on making a couple pieces. Can you...
Yeah. Well, so making this work for this show, I'm putting some new stuff together that I've been wanting to do for a while, and I happen to see a few other open calls. Fortunately, this one just passed, or I would be telling people to try to submit. It closed on the 23rd. I'm blanking on who organizes it now. It's going to happen at Flux and Flow, and it's a show specifically, it's a group in town that does stuff for people with mental illness or drug addiction and stuff like that that's recovering. It's like art. I think it might be Art of Recovery or something. But they're doing a very specific show that's going along with a film put on by the Real Abilities Film Festival. I still don't know how to pronounce the name of this film. It's NISE, and it's out of South America. So I don't know if it's Nice or
I would think it was Nice.
What, but it's a really cool film about one of the very first kind of art therapist practices that happened in a mental institution. And there's a bunch of stuff in there that very much resonates with why I make the art that I make. And so I decided that it'd be really cool to submit a piece to this show. So I think it's called Heart. It's like capital H, lowercase e, capital A, R-T, and it'll be at Flux and Flow. I think it opens up sometime in late April or early May, and it runs through August. You can find out more about it there. I guess I can talk about the stuff. I know I brought a piece. She's staring at the piece on the floor. So most of the people know I do video work primarily, but something I've been having a conversation with for a long time is I'm producing all of this landscape video work, and I want to get it hung somehow. And the major deterrent from that is technology, of not being able to exhibit it the way that I want. I want to be able to hang a monitor up and have it there, and I don't want any cords. I want it to be a painting on the wall, not a TV necessarily, because that's what you get. You get a painting and a photograph and a TV and a sculpture, and you're like, ooh, there's a TV. You don't think, oh, there's a painting, right? And I think no matter what, if something's moving, you'll get a little bit of that some, but I want to be able to create something that isn't so reliant on the galleries having to accommodate it. Because, like, right now, you know, as a gallery recently, they hung a TV, and the preparator was like, oh, I'll poke a hole in the wall here and run a cable down to the bottom and poke another hole and try to bring it back out. That did not work so well, so then he had to cover up both those holes, and he ended up having to lay a big white box strip to cover up all the cords and everything, and I'm like, oh. I mean, that looks okay, but that's not, like, what I want. I want to be able to put just a monitor up there. So if you follow my feed at all, like my Instagram page or anything else, you'll see I post a ton of these images that come out of my video works. And I decided that, you know, hey, I want to actually, because of this show happening at Elevator Brewery, there will be no electricity pretty much. We might bring a TV and have something going on, but I need to be able to hang things on faux walls that just by hooks. And so I decided it's time to actually, like, take some work and get it printed off and make some stuff happen. And so actually this work that is going to be part of this show, and I'm going to show one here in a second, it's thanks to the Greater Columbus Arts Council as well. 3 or 4 years ago, I received an artist in the community grant for a medium format Epson printer to be able to print my work. And I have printed some in the past and stuff, and I've been playing with it and testing substrates and other things to print on. And then, so just recently for this show, I'm like, okay, well, it's time. I need to pick some pieces, and I need to print them on something and get them mounted and decide how I want to exhibit them. And so I brought a piece out here. Here, let me pick it up. Here. Oh! I have to decide which way I like it first. I think it's this way. I like that idea. I haven't shown the piece of art yet, but when I hung these on the wall upstairs, I told Nikki, I was like, okay, now go over there and take it off the wall and look at it, and then turn it and decide which way you like it the best, and then hang it back up on the wall. And she hung them all back up on the wall exactly the way that I had hung them, which was pretty cool. It made me think about, okay, why did that happen? Can we talk about, like, why you picked certain ways and I picked certain ways, so I could just see how the pieces were working. So anyways, I'll turn around and I'll expose it now. So yeah, so this is cool. I'm very excited about this. So this is 8x8. It's a digital video still printed on actual canvas, not even printable canvas. It's printed on, this one may actually be on the printable canvas. I have the rest of them aren't. They're printed on just already gessoed canvas pad, where you can go to Blix or any of the other places and you can buy like a sheet of 10 pieces of canvas already gessoed in kind of a notebook. And you can pull them out, you can paint it and then pull them out and do stuff with them. And so that's what I printed most of these on. And then I've got to let them dry, and it's a very laborious process of, like, dry them, coat them so that you can handle them without pulling the ink back off. And then the canvas itself is then mounted to a very simple kind of display board that's like, 1/8 of an inch board mounted to then a wood frame, so it's nice, easy to hang up there, right? It's all sanded and finished and stuff. The only thing it's not finished is I haven't signed it yet, which will happen soon. I have a few of these pieces to go. So this piece here specifically is this is Sharon. This is Pathways Sharon Woods, and it was created all from the Sharon Woods Metro Park that's up near Cleveland. If you haven't been to Sharon Woods, some people don't like it, some people do. I really like it because you have to attempt to take the same route more than once. It has so many different trails and stuff that you can walk there that you could go there every day of the week for a few weeks and take a completely different path every time. They've got so many different things going on there. And so, so this is a whole series of these I'll be showing at that show. I could talk forever, so you need to interject.
All right.
You want to get a word in edgewise.
No, I'm kind of just watching things and being creepy over here. That's what I do.
Okay.
That is what I do best. I lurk. I lurk
Lurking
in the
Nikki.
background. I lurk in the background.
Lurking Nikki.
Lurking Nikki.
So, yeah. What's that?
I don't know, but I'm lurking behind something.
I don't know what you're doing. So
I'm lurking behind something.
I really feel we have to do something about that. So usually I'm sitting behind the camera over here, and as you notice, we keep looking over here, right? There's actually a very large monitor over here with both of our faces on it that we can see. And so it's actually kind of a deterrent from wanting to look at the camera. You kind of want to look at the TV instead of at the camera, so I need to really work on that.
Let's work on the
looking at the camera
Yeah.
with your big smile.
Uh-huh.
Nice.
Busy being creepy.
So, yeah.
So, what?
Do you have any other questions?
I do have other questions.
You want to ask questions about this?
Let's talk about this. What is this?
I just told you what it was. I told you that it was a video printed on canvas.
But this is a whole body of work.
Yeah, okay. So you want me to talk about the body of work?
The body of work,
okay,
yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
So see, this is how things happen here, is we don't communicate. We just laugh at each other until we figure out what the other one's trying to say.
Words are overrated.
Right, yeah, it doesn't, no, okay. So, so like I said, it's called Pathways Sharon Woods. So I have a series right now of 4 works, and there will be more video-wise called Pathways. I originally made these because I had a very nice offer from a local curator and organizer to submit to a show. And they were like, hey, you should totally submit to this show. We need more submissions. I think your work would be great. And so I went out last fall, and I produced 4 brand new pieces based on something I was really, really wanting to explore at the time. And unfortunately, I did not get into the show, and they felt really bad. And I was like, no, don't feel bad. I produced 4 new pieces of work. I could care less if I got into the show. This work will last me forever. I've done this. I took a whole new path for your show. It opened up a whole new doorway. I couldn't be more happy, at this point. I will find a way to show this work. I don't care. As artists, I feel like you have to figure that out, right? You made work for a show. You didn't get into the show. Well, hopefully you made work, right? That's what it's about. So, this whole series is called Pathways. I have a few other series. One's called Rural Colors, one called City Lights, and then the progression of both of those come around to what I call Emitting Velocity. I basically title series of my works under an umbrella as if I had a show and I put all of these tons and tons of work together, they would fit under this umbrella called Rural Colors or City Lights and Emitting Velocity. I'm mostly still working in Emitting Velocity at this point, and then I've started now working in this, what I'm calling Pathways. The majority of our work is, the work that I'm doing here is about moving a camera through space. I have one, Emitting Velocity, that is Mohican State Forest in 64 views. and I basically strapped cameras to various angles on a car and drove through the Mohican State Forest, and then I put those on top of each other in a very painterly fashion. Like I spend several minutes, hours sitting in front of a computer putting things on top of itself and moving it around and changing things and go, ooh, ah, and Nikki stares at me like this. And it's like, what are you doing over
He breaks
there?
computers.
And I'm also a computer killer because of this. Because once you get up to like 64 video tracks, your computer's a little irritated. And some of them end up going up to 128 or 256, or even, I think the last time I was on the show last year, I was talking about one I did in Seattle that was like 9,000 layers by the time you like multiply it. It's quite big. So this series here is called Pathways, and it's called Pathways because what most people don't realize is that I use a lot of accessibility technology in the artwork that I do. And we'll talk, there's another show that maybe we'll be happening this summer that deals directly with that topic. It's because I have a lot of physical mobility issues that I deal with. And this specific body of work was that, I usually put a camera on a car or something else. Like a lot of emitting velocity and city lights, they were all done in cars or other things that were moving, not me. Whereas I started doing a series called Dreaming of Nature. It's just dreaming series. It's like Dreaming of Nature, Dreaming of Her, where it was me holding the camera and trying to move through a space. And I still want to get back to doing that, but I'm still getting there. This specific set was me holding a camera where it was looking down at my feet the entire time and trying to traverse that space, holding the camera steady as possible for a long period of time and making sure that my feet always landed center in the frame of the camera. And then I would take that back and I titled the piece The Space that I went through. So this is a 35-minute hike through Sharon Woods holding the camera. And I basically start by the clouds. I come down from the clouds to my feet. I take off walking, holding this camera, camera phone like this in front, like at my feet, and I walk through it. And I think like twice halfway through, I kind of pan up and get the clouds and the sky and the trees and stuff. And then I come back down, hit my feet, and I keep going again. And I put that stuff together. And so there's 4 pieces right now. There's Pathways High Street, which was the first one, which if you just look at Instagram, I think it's just before posting about the show tonight, I posted a still from that one. It's me walking from Ohio State University, where I work, to Hammond Harkins Gallery, where Nikki spends a great deal of time doing some database stuff for them. And that's like a 2-mile walk up High Street. And so I basically hold the camera and do the 2-mile walk, which was pretty intense. And then there's Sharon Woods, and then 2 of the other ones I'll be showing work from will be Pathways Marblehead Lighthouse, where I hold the camera and traverse the slate rock edge of the slate rock cliff that circles around the Marblehead Lighthouse up on the, what is that? Is that the Lake Erie? Mm-hmm. Lake Erie, which was a lot of fun because it's not like walking on sidewalk. I'm like climbing over stuff holding this phone. It was very much a challenge. And then the other one was Pathways Aerial Foundation Park, which is a really cool park. If you haven't been there, it's up in Mount Vernon, about 40 minutes north of Columbus. It's an old warehouse area that's then now been mostly demolished. They left up some structures, and they've turned it into a park. They left a smokestack. It's the tallest structure in Knox County there. It's a smokestack, and they built a 144-foot metal gridded staircase around it. A lot of people go there and train. Firemen go there and train. Like it's an endurance. It is. And so I went there and I did a piece where I come down from the clouds, come down the smokestack to my feet, enter into the place where the steps are, and I go all the way up the steps, pointing down at my feet the whole time. And then when I get to the top, I come up, and it just so happens it was getting right near sunset, so I was able to like get the sunset as kind of the last image before I go into the clouds. This specific piece here, you're gonna go, whoa, wait a minute, this is like a cell phone looking down at his feet, right? It's like, yeah, it is. So usually for these pieces, I decided that I wanted to try to control the imagery and the colors and stuff as much as possible. And so what I'll do is I'll actually pick a specific color of pants and shoes based on the environment that I'm going to traverse, so that I can somewhat control what colors I'm going to get here. And so here, most of what you're seeing out here on the outside is, I believe, there's an open air section of the trail there at Sharon Woods that's just got a ton of stuff. I mean, there's like clovers and all kinds of other colorful flowers and stuff like that. And so those are all down at my feet. And then the blue here is actually the blue jeans that I believe I'm wearing that day. And then some of the other gridding patterning that you're getting from the orange is because I have a like black and orange pair of 5-fingered shoes. What's the name of the
Vibrams?
Vibrams. I have a 5-toe Vibrams that I was wearing at the time. So this one is like the most abstract. Some of the other images that come out of this piece, like you can see more of the like the 5-finger toe kind of moving in a weird way. It's a little bit more obvious that might be what it is. So, and then that's, layered over itself in a way that, because of my background in Asian arts and the fact that most of my work comes out of a very meditational process, what I'm really trying to do here is tap into shapes and iconography that come out of traditions like the mandala from a lot of Indic traditions. You could also look at the Pennsylvania Dutch and their hex. Like if you go through some barns in Pennsylvania or Northern Ohio, you'll see these like repetitive kind of star patterns with like leaves and other plant life that's repeated geometrically. It's called a hex. You also see this in a lot of Native American stuff too, in a lot of their traditional kind of patterning in their clothing and other artworks and symbols. So there are a lot of different traditions that have this kind of geometric shape that come out of it. But then it also connects with this idea, why I thought it was really cool to submit to that show with Nice, was that a big part of that is the doctor actually studied with, she based a lot of her theories off of a Jungian theory of the third eye, because these people with, they were having these problems, were in this mental institution, that she found that through art and through trying to get this stuff out of their brain onto a page, it was actually very therapeutic for them, and it was helping them process something that couldn't be seen any other way. So she was writing to Jung and trying to figure out what this was about, and he has a whole series of these kind of mandalas that he does to talk about this kind of inner eye that happens. And so, I'm trying to kind of tap into that as my inspiration as well. All right, that was a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, you said, what's that about?
What's that about?
There's a lot. It's about
What's
a lot.
that mean?
I can write a book. What's that?
What's that?
Here, I'll hand you a book.
And I was trying to untie your slipper with my shoe.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
While you were talking.
Sure.
I was
okay.
helping.
So I gave you a lot of info. You got another question? You got another question?
All right. So we kind of skipped this question, but I'm giving you this question now. What are your influences?
Influences.
What are your influences?
Yeah. So it was really cool. I help advise students at OSU, and I had some students coming in today, and we were talking about experimental art and some other stuff, and I got to really explain to one of the students, I started this process of making art, the video art, primarily because one of the filmmakers that we, both me and Nikki, had spent a lot of time with in undergrad was Michael Snow. If you don't know Michael Snow's work, I would look him up. He does a lot of stuff. He has sculptures. We're really lucky. The director of the film studies program just went to a conference in Toronto, and they went to a museum there, and he took a cool picture of one of Michael Snow's metal sculptures for us to send. It's pretty cool. But a big part of his work is a little bit of an obsession with camera movement. So one of his claim to fame pieces is wavelength. And wavelength is a 40-minute zoom from the very top corner of a room to like a really small picture like this hanging on the wall, like clear across this huge studio apartment. And lots of things happen in the room while this long zoom is taking place, which is really interesting.
What's the classroom one where it's like panning?
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk about next.
What is that one?
So they call it back and forth. The piece that really, really inspired this, they call it back and forth. The actual title is an array. It's a double-sided arrow. Is the title. It's a line with an arrow on either side. A lot of scholars have called it back and forth. I call it to and fro, because I feel like back and forth means that there's a stop-start to the movement, and that symbol doesn't really mean that. It's a mathematical symbol. It doesn't really mean go and stop and then come back the other way. It means keep going in a way. And so like to and fro means that there's no real stop start. You're just kind of going in directions for me. And this is a really cool piece. Basically, he puts a camera on a tripod and he's looking at a chalkboard and he just pans to the side, right? And you see that for a while. And then he moves the camera and he does a slower pan. He does faster pans. He does different parts of the room pans. And then he switches and he does tilts on a pivot where he's going up and down in the room, right? And this is why I say back and forth isn't quite right, because then he starts doing tilts up and down, and that's a slightly different movement that you get, and it goes on for quite a bit. And then at the end of the film, he puts all of them on top of each other. So every pan that he's done, every tilt that he's done, he slowly starts to put them on top of each other. So you have all this stuff like going all over the place all at the same time. And a big part of a lot of these experimental films that were coming out of this time in the 60s and 70s, they were training you to watch their film as you were watching it almost. And that's the way I feel about this specific film. He's like, look, I'm going to show you, this is a pan. This is a basic pan. This is like the color red. I'm going to use this later. Check this. This is A. Let's say this is A. All right. Now this is B. And this is C. And then this is D. Right. And I'm going to compile an alphabet, a language of pans and tilts. And then at the end, I'm going to show you all the language, which is all A, B, C, D, all happening all at the same time. And so it's like training you to do that. And so that's where I came up with this, that's what really inspired me about exploring specifically camera movement. Like, not only, on an apparatus, but then with the physical body. Like, I did a workshop for a class. I'm going back to do an editing workshop this week, but a few weeks ago I did an in-person, like, DIY camera making tips. And the first 10 minutes of class, I had students doing calisthenics with their cell phones. Because, like, I have students, what's a good stabilizer rig you can get? And I was like, your body? Like, your body is a really good stabilizer rig if you just know how to use it right. Yes, you could get a gimbal, you could get some stuff, but those are expensive. You could make something out of PVC. You could use a tripod. Tripods work really good as stabilizers, like handheld, if you use them right and position them correctly. But you can very easily, with your own body, figure out where you need to hold that camera, hold it right. Like, if you're holding a cell phone like this, you put a lot of tension in your wrist. So the first thing I was saying is like, no, don't hold your cell phone like this when you shoot. Hold it like this. Because you do not put nearly as much tension on the top of your arms when you're holding it and it's much easier to move around with that thing without jostling and constricting your arms, right? Yeah, so I could take a phone, right? And so they're holding it like this, right? You just flip it around and hold it like this instead. It's much more comfortable. Plus, you find out in front of your body, like where everyone else wants to hold it up here. That's like the worst place. All this tension in your arms, your shoulders. Like, hold it down here at your waist. And then if you want to move it side to side, don't move your arms. Like, move your whole body. Like, it's much more smooth to move your whole body.
You could still do that with the back camera.
Yeah, of course. I was just that's just leather. So I was just showing the screen because it's easier to track. So yeah, I have him like moving up and down and all kind of stuff. There's a famous experimental filmmaker, Stan Brakhage, that he shot a lot of stuff on 16, and he has this one piece as part of his Dog Star Man series. He's like climbing up this mountain and shooting his own shadow as he climbs up this mountain. And he was able to do things like this and get exactly the shot he wants because he would go out and do calisthenics with the camera on his body. He would put a 60 millimeter on his shoulder and go out and do jumping jacks and go for a jog so that when he needed to do what he wanted to do, he could do it. Right? And so that's the other thing that I'm kind of trying to tap into here, specifically with the pathway pieces is because of my physical inabilities that are just going to get worse and worse as I get older, I want to try to use my art as a way to explore getting as much out of the physicality as I can.
Matt Harburger says, yo, yo, yo.
All right, cool. Hey, Matt. How you doing? Long time no see. So, if you really like some good barbecue and stuff, Matt Harburger does a lot of smoked stuff. That's his big thing. He does smoked meats and jalapenos and all kinds of stuff. So, check that out. Anybody else?
No, I didn't. Nobody else has commented. I just saw that one pop up.
That's cool.
So, we talked about influences.
Yeah.
We've talked about your show coming up.
I'm sorry, I just like to turn it in circles. I'm weird. Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanted to talk about? I mean, well, you've recently been playing with creating music with some friends.
Yeah. So that's another thing about the show that's coming up, the 40 Lyrics Bag. So hopefully we're gonna have music from 2 local people. So Ilya Labazetta, who was on the show recently, we're gonna play a set from her, hopefully in the brewery during the show. And then also one of my oldest friends, we met back in like 1996 when I first started college, Jay Rivers. He's a phenomenal guitarist, and he's been wanting to do some different stuff. He's been playing a lot more music lately, getting back into playing his guitar, and I was like, hey, why don't you come over? And we converted this studio that we're in right now into a music studio, and the mic here, we had him playing with his amp, and we were doing some stuff. We got into a really cool groove. We have like a 30-minute jam session where I even pick up like my Tibetan singing bowl that I use for tea time, my show, and was like playing along with it. And it was a lot of fun. So I grew up as a singer and a musician, playing brass instruments and stuff. So I'm, I try to keep as much, like, enough of my skill happening as I can, because I'd like to make my own sounds for my stuff. So if I can, because I'm kind of over, using Creative Commons stuff. And Nikki's laughing because she's got a monitor over here she keeps looking at, and so she just saw the replay online of me going like this.
No, I was laughing because I couldn't figure out what that was on the floor over there.
Oh, and there's something. What's that on the floor over there?
I think it might be I don't know. We'll worry about it later.
Okay.
I got distracted. Shiny.
Okay. Yeah, Nikki does tend to have SSS. So.
Dude, are there shiny squirrels around here?
Shiny squirrel syndrome. So.
Someone catch me a shiny squirrel.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Is there a question from the Wiz, maybe? Do you have any questions hearing everything we're talking about?
Well, I was going to ask what other links we could put up, because I've shared your Instagram, I shared the event page, and I also shared your video page off of your Facebook.
Awesome. Cool. So, Danny.
Squirrel!
Hey, Danny.
Yay! Danny!
So, there's my personal website is swiftart.wordpress.com. I just revamped that into a new theme, and I'm still working on changing over a lot of the content, but a lot of it's there. And some of the past works that I talked about are up there. I just posted the blog. I just posted the 40-year mixed bag on the blog there at that site. You can follow that if you want.
Derek really wants to know what was on the floor. I think it's the dongle for something. I think I see a dongle on the floor. I just was weirded out that there's, I don't know, is that a...
Let's see me let me get in Nikki's position. I don't know what you're talking about. There's a splitter.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. Anyways.
Anyway.
We're waiting for the weather to break. It's getting closer so we can finish the studio up. There's some cords and stuff.
They should be up.
We're on a rug, and there's a rug, and there should be, more cords should be up here instead of down here, but only half the cords are there right
someday.
now. So that was funny. I just saw myself leaning over there through her screen. That's hilarious. There's lots of screens happening. There's actually 3 screens
there's too much shiny going on here.
Playing at once right now.
I can't handle this much stuff.
Danny, how's your? I hope you're still watching. How's your new snake? Your new snake doing? Lucy. Yeah, Lucifer. So, Derek says okay about the stuff on the floor. So, yeah, there's stuff on the floor.
Uh-huh.
So, anyways.
You need some type of between two ferns. We do have potted plants upstairs.
Yeah.
We could
get a generic potted plant put behind us.
We need a crazy potted plant.
Well, we could bring down avo, but then you wouldn't be able to see the leaves.
Yeah, you can't see anything because it's so tall.
6-7 years ago, we were like, hey... You can grow an avocado tree from an avocado.
Why not? We're in Ohio.
Right?
We should have one of those.
Lo and behold, the very first one we cork and put over a jar of water takes off like mad, and it is now 8 foot tall and bent over in our front room because it just keeps going. It is huge. It's the giant thing. It is straight up. With some little leaves at the top.
So last week I was made fun of for my plant care handling.
Yeah.
Last 2 weeks ago. But somehow I have managed to keep this avocado alive.
Yeah.
And growing super tall. And it's going to take over our house someday.
Yeah.
I think it is plotting our demise.
And its name is Avo.
Yes.
Avocado.
Because
that's really creative, isn't it?
So much sense.
So creative.
Right? We like naming
yep.
things.
And our Christmas trees that we buy, we name them Albert because they're Alberta spruces.
Except for Bruce the spruce.
We had Bruce the
spruce.
And then we had Albert 1 and Albert 2. We're weirdos.
You guys do AV, so it should be like avocado.
Oh yeah, there we go, avocado.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's maybe that's a good name for with a logo for somebody can have that. Coin it. Avocado. Right? You got a nice little avocado that opens up with a lens inside, or you could make it a logo or something. Avocado.
Yeah.
So.
Too much work for me.
Yeah, it's too much. Yeah, well, I can talk a little bit about, there's a show I've been planning for a while with, at Paint and Custom Art Services that we're maybe going to happen in July. It's going to involve robotics and some painting and some interaction. I just got a bunch of supplies to help finally do a full scale proof of concept on that, as full scale as I can. What are you laughing about?
I don't know.
Oh, because of the joke, the proof of concept.
Proof of concept.
Yeah.
We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's inside joke. Sorry,
yeah.
That's what happens when you have a 18-year married couple sitting next to each other on a live show.
No, that's what happens when you're married to an immature.
and
person.
we're both slightly immature.
I'm the one that's immature.
Oh, we're gonna compete who's the most immature. Okay, yeah, I'll give Nikki the immature. She could have it. She could have it.
Yes.
She could have it.
Yes. I totally wanted that one.
Yeah. Nikki's the most immature.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. She does try to tell me to do stuff, and then she doesn't think I'll do it, and then I do it, and then she's like, "You weren't. No, I can't believe you did that. You weren't supposed to do that. I was just joking."
So Danny wants to talk about those who spring of me.
Oh yeah. So Danny Bean is here, and he's watching the show. Danny's an alumni from Ohio State University, screenwriter, and does video production. And he's actually our production assistant on a feature film that we're still working on. That slowly
Never end.
it will never end. Most likely, it's going to take a while. I'm hoping that like this spring and then into summer and into fall, then like we should be done with it. We're 2/3 of it into the can already. It's just that we had to take an 8-month break, mostly because of me, because of some stuff I had to deal with, and so it's been really hard to get back on the saddle.
But we
to
are
make things happen.
We are looking at calendars. We were supposed to be looking at calendars this week.
Yep.
And so we will let you know very soon. But yes, we need to get back to it. So
Yes.
Thanks for the nudge, Danny.
Oh, excuse me. Sorry, it's been a long day. Cleaning and stuff, and
I was hiding my yawns in my cup, so every time
I couldn't help it. It just attacked me, and I was hoping to actually have a sample piece to show here. I was so my birthday is coming up, and Nikki was nice enough to give me an early present of a camera, and so I went out to buy a few extra supplies for dinner today, and stopped off at there's a little park with a big hill in it. I don't know what it's called, but like there's this massive hill in this little park that's part of the Olentangy bike trail that's right on the river, and it's not Como. It's in Clintonville, on the west side of Clintonville, right up against the river, right around Pace, Como area, I think. And I went down in there, and there's some trails back into the woods, and I took my camera rig and the spider rig and kind of did my thing the way I do with the dreaming of nature pieces that I do, and captured some cool footage and threw it together. But then it got halfway through a 6-hour export and was like, nope, we're done. Well, we're not going to finish. It just, like, the editing software was like, no, error. Can't process what's one frame, so we're shutting it all down. You got to start all over again. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'll just have to, like, leave that for later. So I do have a photo from that. Maybe at the end of the show, I'll throw up that photo here on the feed so you can just see an image from that. But it's like, 4K, moving through forest, handheld stuff, riverside. That ends up looking a lot like this kind of stuff. So, but without the legs and the feet kind of thing that happens. So, but you have any questions for me?
Well,
you know everything.
No, I don't.
I'm gonna hold you to that one. That you don't know everything. That's like money in the bank.
Oh, what did I say?
Anyone who's married out there, if you get your spouse to say the words, "I don't know everything," man.
Oh, what have I done?
I'm ready to relax now. I'm good.
What have I done?
Because trust me, she knows a lot more than I do.
I do know everything.
I don't know anything. I'm lucky if I can make it out of bed. Is McCole there?
Where is McCole?
Where's McCole?
Speaking
of not getting out of bed, she's always making some joke about not getting out of bed. We'll see. So,
McCole, where are you?
Well, yeah, Allison Coleman chimed in for a minute and said she liked. That's cool. Hey, Allison. Hope to be working with her again soon. If you're watching this, you don't know who Allison Coleman is. She works with Jeff Chenault, and they do Frequency Fridays which is a really cool event that brings experimental musicians to town, and also just works with local musicians to do experimental performances all out of It Looks Like It's Open, which is at 13 East Tulane. Man, I know that one really well. I don't know the rest of them.
Where is this coming from?
I don't know where that
came. Who are
came.
you today?
I have no idea where this knowledge came from.
Okay, these are questions. Who are you today?
Who am I today?
Who are you today, and what have you done with my husband?
Well, today I'm like a sleepy Pooh Bear. I'm just feeling like not, Piglet, ask me a question and I'll give you an answer kind of thing. What makes the world go round? Well, fat bottom girls. That's what makes the world go round.
Only according to
Freddie Mercury.
Freddie Mercury.
Yeah. That's what makes the world go round. So, it's the Tao La Pooh.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right.
So, let's see. Man.
Dead Space.
Dead Space. I know, right? So, like,
I can go grab my friend and we can talk about that if you want. I guess I don't mind.
Your friend?
Yeah, my friend. For the other show.
I'm not your friend? Oh, that friend.
You're my friend.
I'm not.
You're my best friend. I don't know what you thought. You know this. I don't know why I need to say it. So,
okay, yeah, you could go get your friend.
Yeah, I'll go. This will take 2 seconds. 1, 2.
Dead Space.
3,
Dead Space.
4.
I can't fill Dead Space on my own. I can't do this. I can't.
Well, that's the whole point. All right. So I keep talking about this mysterious show that's going to happen, and that's may happen in June now. Basically, I've been kind of keeping this under wraps, but this is my new companion. I haven't named it yet. I need to name it because it's nice and messy. Can't really see it. There's some green paint in here and all over this. I didn't manage to get all of it off last time.
You know, we're going to kill the wizard with all our laughter.
Yeah, I know. And the cookies. They're good cookies, aren't they? You guys can't see it, but every once in a while a hand like comes out in front of us and is like, oh, there's one of those delicious double chocolate cookies sitting here.
The wizard's making the cookies disappear.
Yeah, I know. It's like magic. The cookies are disappearing. So, yeah, so this is... So a big part of this installation that I'm going to eventually do will involve an assistive robotic.
Vic the Vac.
Vic the Vac? Hey, Vic the Vac. That's not bad. I don't know. I feel like it has to have something to do. I will take suggestions, but I feel like it has to have something to do with me, and less about the vacuum cleaner. Like, because it's supposed to be a surrogate for me. So I'm not sure what to say. I was calling it Mini-Me for a little bit, but I don't like that because that's, Cinemat. There you go. That might work. Makes me think too much of cinnamon, though. And as I like cinnamon, it doesn't really have a lot to do with painting. I'm very picky. You're going to realize this. If anybody gives me suggestions, you're going to see... Usually, I don't know. I feel like I do come across somewhat laid back most of the time. But if you have to work with me on a creative project, I'm picky. I'm like, meh. Cinemat sounds too much like cinnamon. That won't work for me. But it's close. I can't decide if it should have matte in it or not. But anyways, so painting vacuum cleaner. Give it a little bit more hint that, that will have an interactive component. People will be able to play with it and make it do things. It's a lot of fun. It will have a political bend to it as well, given our current climate. And hopefully,
we're all still around by June.
If Vic the Vac Mini-Me Cinemat survives this installation, there will be more after that, which will be much more performative and less interactive by other people, which was the original goal of the body of work I hope to produce with this little buddy that I have, which is, tell you what, it's a lot of fun playing with this little guy and painting, but when you get done, you gotta take all of this out and like clean it and let it dry. You gotta scrape all the paint off of all the wheels, and see, it's the wheel, there's still some on. You can't get it all off. If it dries too much, it's just like, no, I'm not gonna sit in here and scrape all this off. Hopefully it just works right. Luckily, I've found where I can get some new brushes so that I can have some spares. These brushes come off and you gotta clean all the paint out of them. And it's not like it's not like when you're painting, you can just leave your brushes in a solution. No, I gotta put them back on here and I gotta let it paint for a while, not just a few minutes. Like the reason the green stuck is because this was painting for like a good hour or more. And, you know, after about an hour, acrylic paint tends to dry on stuff. It's kind of hard to get back off. So yeah. So I'll be sharing some info about that eventually. I like my little vacuum guy. It's really cool. He beeps and he goes out. And he
does.
senses stuff and bounces around.
Like a little beetle.
Stuff and makes some things happen. Yeah, it's like a little beetle. Hey! I like that, though. Something with beetle.
No, but then you could... Oh, well, no.
Something with beetle.
Well, you know that the car in the Beetle movies was named Herbie.
You mean the VW, yeah. Herbie. Yeah.
You could name it Herbie.
Herbie. Yeah, isn't there a vacuum cleaner?
Called a Kirby.
Kirby? So there's a Kirby vacuum cleaner. So
We can name it Herbie.
Yeah.
And be totally off.
I don't know. I have to think about that one. I'm not like automatically opposed to that one. It's closer. So, alright. Well, so yeah. So the cat's out of the bag. I've been exploring with using robot vacuum cleaners to make art. So, you saw it here first.
You didn't see it. It's not real. It didn't happen.
No.
It's top secret. Shh.
No, the tree did not
Secret.
fall in the woods.
Mm-hmm.
I really want to eat this cookie, but I'm not going to.
You should eat that cookie.
No.
You're just sitting there fondling that cookie.
Seriously.
It has your...
She had to use that. She had to say fondling the cookie.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
All right, well, this is your show.
Is this my show? But you talk.
Mm.
You talk really well.
You do the talking
You talk good. You say the things.
Ma eat cookie. Cookie good.
Cookie good.
Oh yeah, that's great. I wish
Fire
it worked.
bad.
I wish it worked.
Camp chaos.
So most people, Nikki is terrified of heights.
Oh my god.
It's out there now. She's terrified of heights. I like to go to amusement parks and ride front row, biggest, tallest ride, and be like, yeah! I love it. It's exhilarating. Yeah. No, it's not happening. We'll go with some friends, and she'll sit on the ground. I'll go, whatever. But when we first got married, were we even married yet?
No. Oh no.
It was the summer
you
before.
Still married me. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. It was in the 8 months before we got married. I'm like, let's go to Kings Island. You've never been to Kings Island. Let's go. So we go to Kings Island. And I'm like, you can just we'll ride Adventure Express. It's the kiddie coaster.
He told me it was a kiddie coaster. He is full
of
lies.
It is the kiddie coaster.
Full of lies.
If you go there,
no child should ride on that
Adventure
thing.
Express,
Ever.
it only gets about 25 foot off the ground.
But it feels like it's going to throw you out the seats.
No.
It is not okay, not okay, not okay.
I agree with her here. Like, it was way more rough than I expected. I mean, it jerks.
No, it doesn't jerk. You fly out.
Yeah.
You die.
You're not strapped
in.
It's just the bar. So you're like,
not okay.
You're getting thrown all over the place. And we're in the front row because I like the front row. And she starts freaking out. She's freaking out. She's screaming, yelling, profanities. She ends up kind of
all the profanities.
She's like, her thing is when she gets irritated, she'll like punch me in the arm. It's like it's like having an annoying brother or whatever, like a sibling that's like, I'm mad at you, you're a jerk, let me punch you in the arm. That's her thing. And she's like punching me in the arm and screaming profanities on a children's coaster at Kings Island. And then when we get off,
They now know the fear.
I'm like, we have to apologize. So we're standing there, and as all the mothers and sons and daughters are getting off the ride, she's like, I'm sorry. I'm afraid of heights. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like apologizing profusely for screaming and yelling. And we had to leave the park. She's lost it. It was like, she's like, I can't believe, she didn't have sunscreen, and now she is freaked out. She's like, I cannot stay here. Okay, we go. And I said, well, I got to do something to make it up. So we go to Toys R Us. This is where I was getting to the store with the cookies. We go to Toys R Us, which is now no longer going to happen because there will no longer be a Toys R Us.
Yes, how can you satisfy?
How can you save a relationship on a bad trip to Kings Island without Toys R Us, right? So we go, and I see this Cookie Monster doll that has a cookie, and when you put it in its mouth, its arms are out here, and it goes, oh, me love cookies. It's awesome. It doesn't work anymore, unfortunately, 18 years later. But, like, you know, oh, me love cookies. It was such good. It was fun. She was very happy with the Cookie Monster. That made it better.
McCall, you came in time for Cookie Monster.
You had some of these cookies. These ones don't have the salt on them. They're still good without the salt. I add the salt to them.
Danny posted an article, Japan's slowest roller coaster derails. Passengers don't notice.
Nice. It derails and it's just like floating along. Yeah.
I don't like you right now, Danny.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No.
I used to be a big inline skater, and when we got married, she bought me like a nice pair of skates, and so I bought her a pair of skates too, so I could show her how to skate, so we could do it together. Yeah. I don't even, the wheels almost still look brand new. 18, and we still have them, 18 years later. Like, she got on them a few times, and she about ripped my arm out of its socket. Like, she was terrified. I've never seen, I'm like, I can't teach you. Like, if you're that scared of being up on, like, this high on, like, 4 wheels, no. Like, you have to be confident to rollerblade. So, I can show you what to do, but you have to not be afraid. And if you're that afraid, I can't help you with that. There's nothing I can do. So, she can ride a bike in traffic. That's good. I'm excited about that. Now, I rode a scooter for a long time until recently, and she would ride on the back of that scooter, and we'd go, like, there's the ravine there between High Street and Indianola on Cook Road. There's those big hills that go down over near the Overbrook Ravine. We would take that on the scooter, and she didn't seem to care for some reason. I don't know how. I was like, how is that any different than a roller coaster? But
because I had you.
Oh, that's what it is. If we were on a roller coaster where she could sit behind me and just, like, hug for dear life,
maybe it would be okay.
There you go.
No.
Kings Island. It's the perfect romantic couple roller coaster. Make it as high as possible, as fast as possible, but make it so that the two people have to sit back to back, holding on to each other for dear life as they fly through the air.
Nope, not going to happen. Not going to happen. Nope.
All right, we've gone down all kinds of paths.
We went down paths.
All right.
Let's talk a little bit about CMAR, because the deadline's coming up on April 6th, and we actually kind of only vaguely talked about it, and it is this thing that we created once upon a time, and so
am I supposed to talk about that?
Yes, I think
because I'm the guest.
You're the guest, yeah.
All right. So, CMAR. We pronounce it CMAR. We talked about it with Phil Garrett a few weeks ago. It's the Columbus Moving Image Art Review. It's basically a film festival that happens 4 times a year that we do. Like, we put on this show. We get a few dollars. Film Studies at OSU gives us a few dollars to get some pizza and some other stuff. But besides that, that's it. That's
I author the Blu-rays.
Nikki, we process all the films. We curate them in the best order we possibly can. We do all the website updating, submission forms, like we process all that kind of stuff, and then she builds the disc and gets the audio right, puts in all the graphics, does all the technical work there, and then we show basically hour and a half worth of local films. The next show is the 34th show, and we've been doing this since 2009. We've shown over 400 local films in that time, and we've already got 6 or 7 submissions. Excuse me, wow. And we got 2 weeks left.
Eat that cookie faster. You're going to die over there.
It's like taunting me. We got 2 weeks left for submissions. So April 6th is the deadline on that. And then the show will be the 20th. Usually the show starts at 8. This time, it's going to start at 8:30. There's actually a giant language fest that's happening in Haggerty Hall, where we usually host the screening that day. It's an all-day thing that's happening, but it ends around 7ish, and then they all eat pizza. But they know that we're coming in around 8:30 to start setting up the show. So we'll be posting about that soon. I know we already got a handful of stuff. I know that Peter John Ross, a local filmmaker, he submitted his most recent film that's won some awards at some festivals, which is cool. I'll probably show a new piece I did, which, I could actually talk about that just a hair, and I'll come back to that. But we got a few pieces from some students from OSU, some students from CCAD. So, if you're watching this, you catch it, you make films of any kind, doesn't matter. Animations, shorts, documentaries, narratives, whatever. We'll try to show it. The only thing that we don't really show is features, mostly because there's already there's already a place for that. And if you have an hour and a half film, we can't really show anything else. If you need help figuring out where to show your feature you made in town, then let us know. Like, I'm more than happy to point you in the right directions. The Gateway Film Center, Studio 35, working with the Mid-Ohio Filmmaker Association, any of those kind of places. Like, I can help you find some place to show your film.
People.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm probably going to show a brand new piece that I'm almost done with. I just have to finish the audio, which is I guess is kind of pertinent. So, just yesterday there was the big march that's happened nationwide, March for Our Lives. Prior to that, some of the people who helped with organizing that, they had organized a march on campus, where I think it was like March 4th or March 10th. It was during spring break at OSU. We all went out on the Oval for about 17 minutes and spent time having a moment of silence in honor in solidarity with the shootings at Parkland in Florida. And I think we had like 25 or 30 staff, students. It's spring break, so there was no students, but some student employees and other people who were still there went out, and we read off the names of the people who lost their lives in Parkland, and we had some, we did some singing, some people took some photos, and at the end of the piece, I was like, another section of these videos I've been doing is portraiture. I actually have a few that I've been exploring doing portraits of people, and this one I was like, hey, if whoever would want to stay, would you stay? We were on a circle, and I basically did a 360-degree pan track. It was a track, not a pan. 360 track around the circle, and got all the faces of the 25 staff members or staff and students who stayed. And then I used that as my footage to then compile one of these pieces that I make that's this more geometric, mandalic shape. It's called Faces of Solidarity. One move, 25 faces, one move, 72 views. So it's 72 layers of video. One move, which is 360-degree track, single camera, and of course 25 faces. That'll be debuting at the Columbus Moving Image Art Review on the 20th. I may share it online. Can't decide yet. When I get done with it, I'll decide whether I think I can submit it to some other stuff or not. And as a filmmaker, if you want to submit to other stuff, you tend to not want to just share it freely online yet, because it kind of defeats the point. So, so we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I'm pretty excited about it, because I showed a student the other day, because we were just talking about stuff, camera movement and things. And I was like, yeah, I did this. And I showed him the original, like, tracking shot of these people's faces. And I was like, yeah, and then here's the end product. And he's like, whoa, like, that's that? Like this thing here, right? Really, that's your feet and your legs, like, walking across some grass? What? Like, I don't get it. So, yeah. So, that should be interesting. So, but Columbus Moving Image Art, it's free to attend, free to submit. It's open to anybody. The Wiz has been there. We've shown some of his small animations. So, he's going to have to start going by the Wiz now, silently over in the corner. You know, if anybody sees this and they want to submit, that's movingimageart.wordpress.com. You also search Facebook for Columbus Moving Image Art Review, and you can find it there. You can also search Columbus Art Submission on Google, and we're there a few links in, I think just right under GCAC and a few other organizations.
Yep. Now, you've dropped a couple technical terms in that we would use in film studies, like you've said track,
Mm-hmm.
you've said pan,
Mm-hmm.
and so...
That's good.
Yeah, I don't think, and it's different from filmmaking to talking about film slightly. And so I thought maybe you could, since you are an instructor on occasion.
Yeah. So, I can talk about that. So, yeah, let's do something really cool. Let me see. I'm going to go ahead and boot up my phone here real quick, right? And get out of Facebook. I don't need to be logged in there because we got other people doing that. All right, so I'm talking about these things like track, pan, tilt, also dolly, right? So here's my screen. Hey, what's up, yo? You can see me. Right? Is it gonna? Oh,
You broke it.
See this phone? It's driving me crazy. I actually carry a whole other cell phone with me now because this thing.
We had Windows phones once upon a time, and those were amazing. So amazing
Lightning
that nobody
fast.
bought them.
Yeah.
Nobody.
They were so good that once you bought one, no one bought a new one after that. So, like, we still have these, like, 5-year-old phones that still work. They're perfect. They work great. They're super fast. They're faster than this brand new Android phone. But the OS is old, and so you can't update anything. It's ridiculous. Anyways, all right, cool. Awesome. I opened up the other app. All right, and then I hit the camera button, of course. Ah, come on. Live. I'm alive. This is my hand. There's more. Cool. Awesome. So you can see right here. Okay, here's my face. So what Ningy's talking about is the difference between track and pan. It's like picture in picture. So in film studies, when we're teaching people about pans and tracks and stuff, and dollies, tilts, these are different camera movements that do different things. They use them for different conventions that happen, right? And so right now when I say I did a track is a horizontal movement that moves across a subject or with a subject, right? And so this would be a track, right? As you're moving across the subject to show that they're there. Ooh, there's Nikki, right? So when I did a 360 track, I kind of went all the way around in a circle like this, right? Now, a pan is also a horizontal movement, but it's on an axis. It's on a pivot, right? This would be, so if you had a tripod and you just need to turn it side to side, that would be a pan, right? But it looks slightly different. It's a distortion of space. You're showing space or you're not showing space in the same way, right? So same thing with what's called a crane or a tilt, right? Those are the vertical movements. So a tilt, pretty self-explanatory. Tilt, right? I can tilt up at me, tilt down, right? That's a tilt. A crane, it's usually done on a crane. But a crane would be movement with the subject to reveal them, right? As opposed to that tilt. You can see how that's a little different, right? So, and then there's zoom and dolly. I could zoom on this phone by like doing the pinchies, like zoom, right? Ooh, zoom, right? There's zoom. Dolly, which is typically done on a dolly, is to actually move the camera physically at the subject. And what you see is there's a difference. Like if I'm way out here and I decide to reverse navigation and I zoom in, zoom out versus actually move the camera, the distortion of space is different. And when you're making a film, you want to know how to do this because you want to be able to control the space, the cinematic world as much as possible. And so when you want to zoom into something or you want to dolly into something, you may make that choice based on what you're trying to convey at the time. Like the difference between, like someone might use a wide sweeping pan of a landscape, right? Let's say we want to introduce, what's going on here. We might do a nice little pan of everybody in the room, right? To show everything that's there. Or maybe a tilt you might want to do is like, you want to look, like if you really want to look at me though, right? You want to like see everything that I look like for some reason. The clothes I'm wearing to highlight those. Now, the crane and the crane tends to be more used for exploring space, right? Tracking and things that, like if you're moving on an axis, it's really like it's your point of view, and you're looking and you are just looking around like you're moving your head, right? That's what you're doing, moving your eyes around. But the track or the dolly is more about you are moving. It's trying to put you in the position of someone who's actually walking through the studio. Or maybe you're going up an elevator or a flight of stairs kind of thing. So, this is really a cool thing to explain because the work that I do is exploring this specifically, right? So, I have a piece that's on my page, on my Facebook page, artist page. It's called Orange Orchid, and it's one move, and it's in I think 64 views, right? So 64. Whenever I say views at the end of a work, that means layers of video. There's 64 layers of video. That's views. It's coining back to my Asian art background. That is. There's a whole series of Zen Buddhist paintings that talked about the views that happen, like landscape in 8 views, right? And it would be a hand scroll that you would roll out, and there would be 8 different sections that you were supposed to look at. So I'm kind of using that terminology. One move would be I'm going to dolly at a subject and back. That's one move. Right, so Mohican, this was before I started doing this terminology, Mohican State Forest would be like 4 moves, I think, because it's straight on, dollying with the car through the forest, angled, dollying through the forest, up, dollying through the forest, and then other angle, dollying through the forest. I think that's 4 moves. And then those are all put on top of each other several times to make that happen. So that's the bulk of my work. So I'm exploring how do I use these basic, very simple camera movements in, out, side to side, primarily with my body, so that I know how I'm using this, right? So I almost did what I told you not to do, right? Do it this way. So you move in and out. I was like, pull the cookies in here. That might work. Cookies. Can you see cookies? There you go. So I could make a piece that's about cookies. Cookies. Far away from cookies. Cookies. Far away from cookies. Right? And then I take that footage and I could go in and I could make a piece like this. Using the cookies. I know that seems really simple, but maybe you want to make a cookie mandala. Cookies are cool. They're good for you. Would you not? The wizard over here. Are the cookies good for the soul?
The cookies are
all
good
right.
for the
cool.
soul.
So, right, and a mandala is about the A mandala
monster.
is this edge of reality that is the this or the that. There's always a this or a that. So to cookie or to not cookie would be the cookie mandala, right? Is because if you choose to not cookie, then you're like, man, I could have had one of those cookies and they could have been really good. You may regret it. If you have the cookie, on the reverse side, you could be like, oh man, I shouldn't have had that cookie. Too much sweet, calories. But then you could be like, oh, I shouldn't have the cookie because of sugar and it's going to make me crash. You could have a positive effect from not having it. Or you could have it and be like, oh, the cookie was so great. It makes me happy. There's always a this or that happens. And the mandala is kind of like is an artistic representation of our world. And the fact that the questions that we have about everything we do, there's a this or that. To walk or to not walk. To have spaghetti or not have spaghetti. To wake up or not wake up. To work to not work. Right? To say this to you or to not say this to you, right? That's our entire makeup, and that's what the mandala represents. So, anyways, lots of fun, lots of cool stuff. We've gone way over. This is like an hour and a half show.
Yeah, it is an hour and a half.
So, does anybody still there have any questions? And of course, we've got to give them like 10 seconds to catch up.
You have 10 seconds. 10 seconds.
And
Cookies. All right, so our next show.
that was not 10 seconds.
I don't care.
All right.
This is 10 seconds in my world.
Okay.
My world.
Yeah, we got to let the Wiz get on with his evening.
Yes. We are holding the Wiz hostage. He cannot ever leave.
So next time you come over, the Wiz will be chained in the corner, right? And if there's a smell, we apologize. We have not installed a faucet down in the studio yet, and it just might be a problem. And if we get too close because of the food, he might bite off our hands. You gotta be careful when you're chaining people in your basement that you can't leave. I know, right? That's why I just keep going. He's laughing. So I was like, he can't leave. He is now chained to our system permanently, so that I don't have to do the work anymore. This is nice.
This is very nice.
What else is in those cookies?
I don't know. I don't know.
Nothing.
I don't
Nothing
know.
at all.
That's too much. All right, so we gave
Cookies
people
and
more than
heaven.
enough time for a final question, and there
You had
was
10
none.
seconds, and we gave you laughter, and where are you?
Yep.
Where are your questions, people?
Yep.
All right. So
all right.
next show for this show, Cbus Creatives Live, it's April 8th. That looked like a 1. And it's going to be Simon Labozetta. So Simon, be prepared, because I'm boning up on my questioning skills here. But before that, what are you laughing at?
I was shaking my head no at you.
No, I'm
But then I smiled real
good.
big, and I realized I really don't like my big smile, closed-lipped with this much facial hair because it looks weird.
So before the next Cbus Creatives Live, we have tea time with Matt Swift, where he drinks a tea and talks about it and talks about anything you want to talk about, kind of like tonight, but with tea. And
I'll talk about the tea
in the morning, and he talks about the tea. And so
and so April, it's Easter morning, and it's also April Fool's.
It's messing with us.
So,
it's screwing with our whole
I thought today was
understanding
Easter.
of the world. April 1st
you know.
and Easter, not okay.
Yeah,
So-
maybe an exciting show. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be drinking red rose tea. So tune in to find out more about red
And
rose
he will
tea.
be surrounded by
And I have a bunch
red
of stuff.
rose things. I
from
found
the
all
red
the ones I
rose.
can find, so
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
it. I found them all.
I drink
You're
red
good to
rose
go.
tea because I have a little collectibles. I'm a weirdo. So, all right.
That's not what makes you a weirdo.
I like that laugh too.
All right, and we're gonna end on that. I think.
I'm seeing
I think.
Nikki like laughing like this.
Right? I know. Well, and there's my top secret hiding. Like,
Yep. Okay, cool. Well, if there's
All
no
right.
more questions, then thanks everybody tuning in and hearing more about our stuff.
Thanks for joining
And,
us. You
Yeah.
took my closing.
All right, cool.
Bye.
See you next time. as we look off the screen, I'll look at the camera.